So how did you get into this genre in speedrunning?
So speedrunning is something that I kind of stumbled upon. And I feel like that's how it is for nearly everybody who gets into it. I don't know anybody who goes into speedrunning like, I think when you're a kid or like growing up when you're playing games all the time, you think, I wonder how fast I could, like, you beat it once to your favorite game, you want to play it over and over. You're like, how fast could I beat this? But you never really like look into it all that much, or at least when I was growing up, because I was that was like the era of dial-up. I couldn't even connect to the internet, let alone research this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But essentially, the first time I ever ran into a speed run was in 10th grade piano class, weirdly enough. Um, or I think I might have been a senior at that point. The details aren't that important, but I was essentially, the teacher would kind of just let us loose and play our music. And then when we played her our examples, we basically just had free time to do whatever we wanted because I don't know, what else is she going to do? And so I would normally just surf the web. And there's a website that was very popular back in the day. I don't know how popular it is these days, but it's called eBombs World. And there's pretty much videos of everything on there. And I remember I was just on eBombs World and I randomly saw a speed run of Super Mario Brothers 3. And I was just like, all right, this kind of piques my curiosity. And so I watched it and I was completely blown away by it. And I was just like, I don't know what this whole thing is, but I want to do this. It was something that I just immediately fell in love with. And I didn't really actively pursue it until I had already graduated from college. So, I was kind of, I got a degree in opera singing. That was my original career path. And when you're 21 and you enter the real world, there's not really a whole lot of job opportunities for a young opera singer. So I was just kind of working dead end jobs, I worked at a bagel shop. I worked at a record store. And so like I had a whole bunch of free time to myself. And so I was like, I've always been curious about this whole speedrunning thing. I guess I'm just going to try it. And I picked specifically the Ratchet and Clank series at the time because they were games I always loved as a kid. But also in my research, I realized there weren't that many active runners. And so I always wanted to be the best at a game. I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this because no one else is running it. I can get world records super easily and I can be the best or whatever. And, I found a really small community of people who actually were running the games and we started collaborating and working together. And I very quickly realized that it's not as easy as just playing a game that super well. You have to actually put in a lot of hard work. I spent roughly 6 months just being total ass at these games. But it's with speedrunning, it's like you can very clearly see your progress because anytime you get that much better, you overcome the hurdle and you lower your personal best. It's like, like sprinters or whatever, like, how good you are. And so, I just kept crawling forward and forward, all throughout these months. And then, roughly 6 months after I started seriously speedrunning, like a few times a week, I finally managed to get world record in the game that I was playing. And, to an audience of maybe 5 viewers maximum. And these were all just like the people that I met in collaboration with these strategies. But then over time, you keep grinding away and I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of luck involved as well. I would never try to claim that, I'm self-made it was strictly just my hard work. I got very lucky and people kept finding my channel. And eventually I was able to get a run into Awesome Games Done Quick, which is probably the most mainstream thing in speedrunning. It's a twice annual event. And basically when I got accepted, I went from being a streamer with only 20 average viewers to a streamer with 70, 75 average viewers. And I've just been building and building and building from there. I think, throughout pretty much this whole marathon, it's been fluctuating somewhere between like six to 650 viewers at its highest, and then like at its lowest, somewhere around like 300, I think. Mm. So even when I'm here asleep on my bed, there's still 300 people loving up on my content, and I really appreciate them so much. But it's been a long and arduous road to get there for sure.
It's such a hard game series to speed run in just that. I love taking my time in Ratchet & Clank. So for people who don't know, Ratchet and Clank is like one of the perfect games if you have autism. It's like a goofy cartoony kind of game where you're a little man, a Lombax, just like a cat person. It's sci-fi, and you get all these crazy weapons, and the weapons level up as you use them. So you'll go through worlds multiple times just to level up the weapons enough so that you can never use them again through the playthrough and focus on the next weapons. But to beat the game in like 2 hours or fewer, it just flies against my instincts when it comes to playing Ratchet and Clank, and it's impressive.
Yeah, I think that's really the magic of speedrunning in general. Is like, these games, when you play them for the first time, they especially when you're watching all the cutscenes, you want to explore the world. In the Ratchet games specifically, it can take 10 to 20 hours to beat them one time through. And like, for example, the game that I originally started playing, Ratchet and Clank 3, the world record now is less than 28 minutes. So, we take this game and we just break it wide open, and we're just, we skip planets that people had no idea. We do movement tech that people didn't even think was possible. And, it's like, I really do think that that's like the pure essence of speedrunning. It's just like the idea of taking something and just redistributing it to people in a way that's totally unique. Like, there's just no other thing in this world that's like speedrunning.
So how do you discover these? How would you even call them? They're not like workarounds. I mean, what do you call these short? They're not shortcuts even, because they're so creative. So how do you discover these things?
There's tons of different ways to describe them as well. There's like glitches, there's movement technology. Sorry, there's like a
Proxies.
fly flying around my room right now. You'll have to forgive me.
Zam,
anyway.
there actually isn't a fly there. This is 77 hours of oh, no, go on, sorry.
What is happening?
I appreciate your sense of humor. I appreciate you're going with this.
Well, you have a doctor here just in case.
I certainly probably need it at this point.
So you got to stay on for the 77 more hours, Dr. Joe.
Right.
Make sure.
What were you going to say, Tom?
You just jabated him.
Yes, that's the term, jabated.
Jabated. What is that?
It comes from, there's a man named Alex Jabali. He's a very famous figure in the fighting game community, the fighting game world. And he has an emote that you can use on the website where it's like him looking really smug. And it's like, you use that when you've tricked somebody. So that's jabating somebody.
Got it. Let's go back to the glitch idea here, because I'm really fascinated by this. To take a game that takes Tom hours and hours, 28, 22 minutes. I mean, tell me more.
So there's tons of different terminologies that we use. There's glitches, there's manipulations, there's out of bounds, there's, this, that, or the other thing. But essentially what it all boils down to is the backbone of speedrunning is off of the creative minds of the people who want to find these things. And they're kind of like the unsung heroes because they do a lot of the hard work and get very little of the credit. But oftentimes it's really as simple as the curiosity of just saying, I know how you're supposed to do this. I wonder if there's another way. And it's almost, in a lot of ways, like the scientific method, where they hypothesize like, okay, so if I were to do this thing, maybe this thing would happen. And so they just kind of keep experimenting over and over. And, the ways that people find things, in all honesty, a lot of times major strats and major glitches are found by complete accident. It's an interaction that like maybe some random person found that no one ever expected. But I've even seen instances as crazy as like one of my close friends in the community. He has had strats that have come to him in dreams where he's like dreamed about, I wonder if this thing is possible. And then he wakes up and then he tries it out and it just works, And yeah, there's a comment that one of the members of the Ratchet and Clank community just wrote in my chat that just said, simply walls are suggestions. It's like, you're really only bounded by your level of creativity.
So you're actually you oftentimes you're hacking the computer program.
Well, there are actually glitches that can do that. Like, for example, there is a way in the original Super Mario World on the, I think it's the Super Nintendo, where you can actually rewrite the code of the game from within the game itself. And it's called arbitrary code execution. And so you have, if you watch it, it looks like I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like like the person isn't even playing the game. They're just doing a series of random things over and over. And then before you even know it, like boom, the game just jumps them to the end credits and they've beaten the game. And so there's as many ways to manipulate games as there are ways to just play it and normally straight up,
But you're not actually like speeding it up. You're playing it at a normal, it's like you're not listening to a podcast and you can go to the X2X, right?
No, yeah. I don't know if there's many games where speeding up is actually allowed.
Got it.
I don't know the rules of every single speed game out there. Maybe there are some where that's legal, but certainly not the games that I've ever played. And there's usually a very stringent set of rules that communities have to create to prevent people from going outside of the bounds of what's actually considered the difference between a manipulation and a cheat. Like they're two very different worlds.
That Mario one sounded kind of like a cheat.
Sort of, but it's also its own category. Like it's separated on a different leaderboard entirely. And so people play that version of the game when they feel like just bashing their head against a coding wall. And people normally just play the more substantial versions where you use the actual techniques in the game to beat it as fast as you can.
Stretch the